Hello coin collectors and history lovers. Welcome back to Old Charles, the channel where we dive deep into the world of coins, their history, and their real value today. In this video, we're exploring one of the most interesting coins of the 1980s, the United States 1-cent coin from 1984. Don't underestimate this little penny, because some of these coins are worth much more than 1 cent. Stay with us until the end, because you'll learn about the history, condition, rare errors, and the market value of this coin. The 1984 Lincoln cent is part of the long-running Lincoln penny series, which began in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. By 1984, the Lincoln cent had already become a household coin in America, widely used in everyday commerce. Now, let's talk about its composition. Before 1982, pennies were made mostly of copper, about 95% copper and 5% zinc. But due to rising copper prices, the U.S. Mint made a big change. Starting in mid-1982, pennies were struck on a new planchet, 97.5% zinc, plated with a thin layer of copper. So, the 1984 penny is actually a zinc coin with a copper coating. On the obverse side, you'll see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, which has been used since 1909. The reverse side features the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, which was introduced in 1959 to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday. If you look closely at the reverse under magnification, you can even spot a tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 8 billion pennies in 1984, while the Denver Mint made more than 5.5 billion pennies with a little D mint mark below the year. That means billions of these coins entered circulation, but what makes some of them so special today? Now here's where it gets interesting. While most 1984 pennies are only worth 1 cent, there are rare error varieties that can make these coins valuable. The most famous is the 1984 double die obverse, DDO. On this error, Lincoln's ear appears doubled. Collectors call it the double ear variety. This doubling was caused during the minting process when the die struck the coin with a slight shift. These double die pennies can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on condition. Other error types from 1984 include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or misaligned dies. While less common, these can also raise the value significantly for collectors. Alright, let's talk about value. Like any coin, the value of a 1984 Lincoln cent depends heavily on its condition. Circulated 1984 pennies, the ones you find in pocket change, are usually worth only 1 cent. But if you have one in excellent shape, it can fetch a few cents more. Uncirculated 1984 pennies ** in grades like MS-65 can be worth around $1 to $3. Higher mint state coins, especially with full red luster, can bring $10 or more. Now, the 1984 double die obverse error coin is the real prize. In average circulated condition, it can bring $50 to $200. But in mint state, collectors have paid $500, $1,000, or even more at auction, so always check your 1984 pennies carefully. A little doubling on Lincoln's ear could mean you're holding a small fortune. The 1984 Lincoln cent might seem ordinary because of its high mintage, but it represents an important era in U.S. coinage. It was one of the early full zinc years, showing the transition from copper to copper-plated zinc coins. For many collectors, finding one in brilliant red uncirculated condition or discovering that rare double die error makes the hunt worthwhile. For beginners in coin collecting, the 1984 penny is a great starting point, affordable, easy to find, but with the potential for valuable discoveries. So, next time you see a 1984 penny in your change, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look. It might be worth more than you think. We're diving deep into the story of the 1984 United States 1-cent coin, also known as the Lincoln Memorial penny. At first glance, it might look like just an ordinary penny, but behind it lies an amazing history, major changes in U.S. coinage, and even some valuable error coins that collectors go crazy for. So let's begin. The story of the 1984 penny isn't just about 1 year. It's about a coin series that started way back in 1909, when the United States Mint decided to honor one of the greatest American presidents, Abraham Lincoln. Till then, U.S. coins never featured real historical figures, only symbols like Lady Liberty. But in 1909, the Mint broke tradition to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The Lincoln cent was designed by Victor David Brenner, and it instantly became popular with the American public. From 1909 until 1958, the reverse design of the penny showed 2 wheat stalks, giving it the nickname Wheat Penny. But in 1959, to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth and the 50th anniversary of the penny itself, the U.S. Mint introduced a brand new reverse, the Lincoln Memorial, designed by chief engraver Frank Gasparo. This design stayed on the penny for half a century, from 1959 until 2008. Now let's fast forward to the early 1980s. For decades, pennies were made mostly from copper, 95% copper and 5% zinc. But the value of copper began to rise sharply in the late 1970s and early 1980s. By 1981, the metal in each penny was nearly worth more than 1 cent. The U.S. Mint faced a problem. It was too expensive to keep making copper coins, so, in 1982, a big change was made. The Mint switched to a new composition, 97.5% zinc, coated with a thin 2.5% layer of copper plating. This made the coin much cheaper to produce. That's why the 1984 penny, just 2 years later, is part of this new zinc era. Even though it still looks like the older copper coins on the outside, inside it's actually made of zinc. If you were to cut it open, you'd see the silvery color of zinc beneath the copper surface. The 1984 penny also reflects the incredible production power of the U.S. Mint in the 1980s. Billions of these coins were struck, over 8.1 billion at the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark, and more than 5.5 billion at the Denver Mint with a D mint mark. That means over 13 billion 1984 pennies entered circulation that year, making it one of the most common coins of the decade. And yet, even with such huge numbers, the 1984 penny holds a special place in coin history.
Why?
Because it was during this period that collectors began noticing famous error varieties like the 1984 double die obverse, the coin where Lincoln's ear looks doubled. This error made the otherwise ordinary penny into a highly desirable collectible. The 1984 penny also represents a wider story, the struggle of modern mints to keep coins affordable, practical, and useful in everyday life. The shift from copper to zinc wasn't just about cost, it marked a turning point in U.S. coinage, where tradition had to give way to economics. And that's why the 1984 penny, though small in value, is big in history. Now that we understand its history, let's talk about what makes some 1984 pennies valuable. The most famous is the 1984 double die obverse, also known as the double ear penny. If you look closely at Lincoln's ear, you'll see clear doubling, a result of a die error during minting. Collectors love this variety, and prices can range from $50 in worn condition to over $1,000 in mint state. Other errors, like off-center strikes, die cracks, or clipped planchets, can also increase the value. These aren't as famous as the doubled ear, but they're still fun finds. So, how much is a 1984 penny worth today? Well, most are worth only face value, just 1 cent. But condition makes a big difference. In circulated condition, they're usually worth only 1 to 2 cents. In uncirculated condition, mint state 65, a 1984 penny can sell for $1 to $3. In brilliant red high grades, they can fetch $10 or more. And of course, the 1984 double ear variety is the real jackpot, ranging from $50 to over $1,000 depending on grade. From a collector's perspective, the 1984 penny is both ordinary and extraordinary. Ordinary, because billions exist and it's easy to find. Extraordinary, because hidden among them are rare varieties that turn a common coin into a valuable treasure. The coin also symbolizes a historic transition in American money, from traditional copper to modern zinc. For collectors, that makes the 1984 penny more than just a cent, it's a piece of economic history. So, the next time you come across a 1984 penny, take a closer look. You might be holding a piece of American history, or even a valuable error coin. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into the fascinating world of coins. And tell us in the comments, do you check your pennies for rare errors now? Let's talk about one of the most important factors in coin collecting, condition. The condition of your 1984 penny can mean the difference between it being worth just 1 cent or hundreds, or even thousands of dollars if it's a rare variety in pristine state. Oh, how do collectors measure condition? Coins are graded on a 70-point scale developed by the Sheldon system poor, P1, to good, G, 4***. These are heavily worn coins. On a 1984 penny, Lincoln's portrait would look very flat, with most details missing. The coin is only worth face value. Very fine, VF, 20 to VF, 35 ** moderate wear but still clear details. Lincoln's hair and coat might show smoothness, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse will have reduced sharpness. In this grade, it's usually still only worth a cent extremely fine, EF, 40 to EF, 45 ** light wear, with most design elements visible. Lincoln's hairlines and facial details are clearer. A collector might pay slightly above face value, but generally it's not rare. About uncirculated, -50 Australian dollars to -58 Australian dollars **, almost no wear, just slight friction on the highest points. Coins in this grade often sell for a few cents to $1. Mint state, MS, 60 to MS, 70 **, this is where the real value starts. These coins show no wear, only tiny bag marks or scratches from the minting process. A 1984 penny in MS, 65 red can be worth $3 to $10. Higher grades like MS 67 red can bring $50 to $100 or more depending on demand. Now let's get even more specific, because collectors don't just grade on wear, they also look at color and luster. The color of a Lincoln cent plays a huge role in its value. Brown, BN **, most circulated 1984 pennies fall into this category. They appear dark brown due to oxidation and circulation. These are generally worth only face value. Red brown, RB **, a mix of original red mint color and brown toning. These are worth more than plain brown examples, especially in higher grades. Full red, RD **, these are the most desirable. A red 1984 penny looks almost like it was just minted, bright, shiny copper luster covering at least 95% of the surface. Collectors pay big premiums for these, especially in grades MS 65 and higher. Another important factor is luster, the way light reflects across the coin surface. Coins fresh from the mint have a distinctive cartwheel effect when tilted under light. The stronger the luster, the higher the grade. If a 1984 penny has full red luster and no scratches, it could be a real treasure. Don't forget mint marks. 1984, Philadelphia **, no mint mark, more common, but still valuable in high grades or with errors. 1984, D, Denver **, struck in the billions. Again, value comes from condition. Both can be valuable if they're in mint state or have the famous double die error. Condition becomes even more critical with error coins. The famous 1984 double ear penny in circulated condition may be worth $50 to $200. But in mint state with full red color, it can easily exceed $1,000 at auction. In fact, PCGS has graded some examples at MS 67 red that sold for well over that amount. Collectors also care about how coins are stored. Zinc pennies like the 1984 cent are prone to corrosion and spots, because the thin copper coating can bubble or crack, exposing the zinc underneath. To preserve value, store coins in a dry, cool environment. Use acid-free holders or slabs for mint state coins. Avoid touching coins with bare hands, as oils from your skin can damage the surface. The condition of your 1984 penny can make all the difference. In poor shape, it's just a cent. But in mint state with full red luster, especially with a double die error, it can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. That's why collectors always say, condition is king. So next time you come across a 1984 penny, don't just glance at the date. Check the color, luster, and details. It might be hiding real value. If you enjoyed this video, remember to hit like, subscribe to Old Charles, and turn on notifications for more deep dives into coin history and value. And tell me in the comments, have you ever found a mint state penny in your change?